Biggest announcement on the sidelines of the G20 summit, which has been successfully hosted by New Delhi, is the economic corridor that has been announced with India, Saudi Arabia, UAE, France, Germany and Italy, and of course backed by the United States. This is initially envisaged to be a railway project, a land corridor, an economic corridor, but how will this translate and what could be the positioning, the signaling that this is meant to send out? I'm now joined by a very, very special guest on the special edition of the G20 broadcast here on CNN News 18. Ashwini Vaishnaw is the Honourable Minister for Railways. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us here on CNN News 18.
Thank you.
First of all, many congratulations. This is a landmark deal that's been announced by the Prime Minister along with the US President, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and other host of leaders who are all part of this economic corridor. Could you first tell us or give us a sense of how this land corridor, which traverses a mass of land from India through Arabia and all the way to Europa, as some people are saying, how did this idea first of all come about?
Our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has a very clear vision that India, Middle East and Europe, they have a common thinking, they have a good alignment, and the time has come when we should look at an economic corridor which is a combination of shipping and rail, so that from the west coast ports of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka and Kerala, we can send the goods to the ports of Middle East. From there, the goods can be then transported via railway corridor all the way to Europe. So this will reduce the distance between India and Europe by thousands of kilometers. This will create a totally new corridor around which many industries will get developed. India will get many new export opportunities. We will also get an opportunity to export our technology to these countries. For example, in case of telecom, today we are exporting telecom equipment to more than 40 countries, and in one of the bilaterals, India's telecom equipment has been now accepted as a part of the Rip and Replace program in US. Similarly, in this corridor, in the economic corridor between Middle East and Europe, India will be able to find many opportunities to design the projects, to execute the projects and to export railway locomotives, railway coaches, railway wheels. All these items can then be exported to the Middle East and Europe via this corridor.
So, sir, initially this is envisaged as a land corridor, a railway project, but could this also be extended to, let's say, a gas pipeline? Could this be extended to optical fibers? India, of course, is at the forefront of 5G technology. So could this be extended to optical fibers as well, or is it currently envisaged merely as a rail and land connectivity project?
Communication is an integral part of this corridor. There will be a major optical fiber corridor all along this transportation corridor, and gas pipeline can also become part of it, because once you have the right of way, then it becomes reasonably easy to lay out other utilities along that right of way.
I also do want to ask you about, the funding for such massive infrastructure projects. There's always been a question mark, because clearly such mass scale of funding needs to come from the public exchequer of various countries that are involved in this project. So is there some more details you can share on how the funding for this infrastructure project will come from?
Many multilateral institutions and funds are willing to participate in this program because it has good economic viability. If you look at the distance which is saved in transporting goods from Europe to India, that is in thousands of kilometers. That itself produces viability. That itself makes the project viable. Apart from that, the many sections of the project our sections are already, countries have started investing in many of these sections already. So that makes the project significantly easier to execute. And then once the corridor becomes one seamless corridor, the revenues which it will generate, those revenues are going to be significant. So that's why it will be a good bankable project in my opinion.
The strategic view to this project seems to be that this is the most direct and perhaps the biggest challenge to the Belt and Road Initiative that China unrolled some 10 years ago. What would your view on that be?
Definitely, this is very different from BRI in multiple ways. First, our project, our Prime Minister's vision is very clear that each country should basically look at what their needs are, and basis those needs they should participate in the corridor. Second, unlike the BRI where a huge debt burden gets imposed on the beneficial on the country in which the project gets executed, here the thought process will be we share the benefits and we share the burden. So the thought process is more to go to the multilateral institutions so that there is a clear economic and bankable rationale to it, rather than trying to export a debt burden onto the countries. So in multiple ways this is a very different thought process. That's why Prime Minister's vision was very easily accepted by so many countries.
So, sir, when you say multilateral institutions, are you referring to the World Bank, the IMF? What are the sort of commitments that you have got from these multilateral organizations to financially back this project?
There are many sovereign funds, there are many multilateral funding organizations like IMF and World Bank. Then there are many private equity funds also which are willing to participate. Then there are large corporations which are very eager to participate in this.
Do we have, I know it just got announced yesterday, but do we have any timelines by when you see at least the first leg of this project, this corridor being kicked off?
I can discuss with you the first step that we have to take. The first step that we have to take is the harmonization of standards. Railway has multiple standards which are operating in different countries. So first and foremost thing will be to harmonize all the standards, so that once the standards are common, then a train which starts in Middle East can then terminate anywhere in the European continent. So that will be the first big activity on which we will all have to spend time and energy and make sure that we are all on the same page. So that will be first. Second will be to get the alignments clear. Third will be to get the DPRs done. So our focus will at this point of time will be to make sure that all the countries participating in this corridor, they come onto the same page and we start developing the common standards and come with a preliminary alignment which gets finalized, and then we can take the project to the next level.
There was also a trans-African corridor that was announced along with this India, Middle East, Europe corridor that was announced. Again, what would be the Indian role and what would be the Indian connectivity linkage as far as this Trans-Africa corridor is concerned?
The fundamental role that India will play in all these projects is one, execution, second, design, and third, exporting our technology. In a way, these will be opportunities for us to export our technology, make sure that our Indian companies get the opportunities to work on these projects.
I also want to ask for your thoughts and some would say even assurances, because there was this North-South corridor project all the way through Central Asia and eventually into Europe, which India has been involved in for a number of years, and for a variety of reasons, geopolitical and also execution reasons, that has not come to bear. What would you say? Some are saying that this is in replacement of the North-South corridor project. Has India given up on the North-South corridor project?
I think these two corridors are different. In this India, Middle East, Europe corridor, the alignment of thought process is already there. These are countries which are looking at a common future. These are countries which have strategic partnerships. These are countries which have very good relationships going forward. So this is a significantly different project from the other project that you are mentioning, where there were many countries which do not look at each other as friends and that's why there are many more difficulties. However, in a geopolitical scenario, every project has its own time, and when the time comes, the projects become successful.
All right. And finally, Minister Vaishnaw, I know again it's early days yet, just yesterday we had the announcement, but do we have a ballpark figure of what the costs will be and what the division of who shares how much will be as far as this project is concerned?
These numbers will emerge as we work on this project.
Okay. Ashwini Vaishnaw, thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18, and many congratulations once again on the scale and the ambition of this announcement of this corridor, the economic corridor connecting all the way from the Asian landmass to the European landmass. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.